Hey, what's up, guys? Star Brother here. Welcome back. Sorry for the interruptions in the last stream. So, this is the 100 subscriber special of the channel. The channel reached 100 subscribers the other day, and before we begin, I'd like to say thank you to everyone. This past, I think it was a year and a half actually, when we started the channel. So it's been a long and bumpy ride for us to get to where we are today. And it's so amazing that people actually are at 100 people decided to subscribe to our community. So that fact has led, so all of you guys who have subscribed, it was over a year ago when we began this channel with the introduction to my channel. And now all the way we've morphed from theories to vlogs to gaming videos to in-depth analysis to a streaming channel. So this channel has morphed a lot. But let's get all the pleasantries out of the way. We'll get the pleasantries later. There's some shout outs at the end of the stream. Some people that have helped me so much that I want to give a shout out to. But without further ado, let's explain how this stream is going to work. All right, so we tried to do something with a Google Doc. Unfortunately, that's not going to work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say each ship and then a brief, very, very brief overview of what that ship's purpose was and things like that. If you want to go look it up, you can do that. Now, don't think that this, just because this is not a Q&A in-depth analysis stream, that you can't use the chat. If you want to drop facts about the ships I'm doing or the ships we've already done, go ahead. I'm fine with that. But for this one, I'd like to keep it purely Star Wars. This is a Star Wars related stream. So, without further ado, let's begin. Now, we will begin with Legends. Now, hello, Elizabeth. Welcome to the stream. You guys feel free to talk amongst yourselves in the chat. So we'll begin with the Legends variant of the Rebels. The full name is the Alliance to Restore the Republic Military Fleet, or nicknamed the Rebel Fleet. It was comprised of thousands of ships, most of them stolen, older designs, and stolen Imperials, or created by the Mon Calamari. Atomic Wolf 77. Hi, welcome. Sadie, hello. How are you guys? Welcome to the 100 subscriber special. So sit back and let's begin. The first ship on the line is the Carrack class light cruiser. It was mainly used as a bigger version of anti-starfighters. And an anti-starfighter vessel. They were mainly Imperial. Welcome, Piggity Poppin. Thank you for the congratulations. Like I said, there will be some shout outs at the end of the stream.
Michael, just continue on. Stop welcoming everybody. We never get through it.
All right, so the next ship is the Dauntless class heavy cruiser. This ship before the Imperial Ages was actually used a lot in the Empire. I mean, in the Confederacy of Independent Systems. This ship was one of the only ships that was. It's almost Mon Cala it's almost Mon Calamari in design. So we'll definitely see the Mon Calamari pop up a lot in this. The next ship is the Dreadnought class heavy cruiser. Now, the Dreadnought class heavy cruiser is that kind of ship that you see almost everywhere. It's like a Sherman from World War II. Everyone used it. The Confederacy used it. The Galactic Republic used it. The Rebels used it, and the Empire, and even into the Legacy era. The New Republic, Imperial Remnants, the Greater Maldru, all of them used the Dreadnought class heavy cruiser. The next ship is the Liberator class cruiser. The Liberator class cruiser was a hybrid cruiser / carrier. It could carry a good complement of starfighters, not as much as the Quasar, but definitely a good match. but it's more along the lines of a carrier that can carry fighters but can also punch you in the face a lot harder than a Quasar could. The next ship is the MC-40A light cruiser. This is the first of the pure Mon Calamari designs that we will see on this. The MC-40A was nicknamed was a lighter ship, mainly used in patrols. They weren't noticeably used in most battles, mainly because of their lack of armor. This cruiser was notably light in armor and very heavy in weapons. The next ship is the MC-80 Liberty type Star Cruiser. This is one of the big boys, one of the bigger boys of the Rebel Alliance. Now, the MC-80 Liberty class Star Cruiser, it's called the Liberty type because there were many variants of the MC-80. There was the in Legends, there's the Home 1 variant, which we will discuss later, and there's also been different variations in games. I can know one from the Empire at War, Awakening of the Rebellion mod. There's a couple like the MC-80 Justice and the MC-80 Alliance. So there's definitely a lot of them. The next ship is the MC-80A Star Cruiser, or more commonly known as the MC-80 Home 1 variant. Now, the reason why it's called Home 1, the Home 1 variant, is because one of the more popular ships of this class was Admiral Galia Akbar's ship, Home 1. So the next ship is the Neutron class bulk cruiser. This bulk cruiser used much like the Carrack class. It was a bigger ship, but it was meant for anti-starfighter roles. You'll notice that the Rebellion, when we go through this, I emphasize a lot on the anti-starfighter role. Because that's what they were. They were very heavily anti-starfighter. They knew the Rebellion used a lot of TIE fighters, overwhelming numbers. So you'll notice a lot of things with light laser cannons meant for anti-starfighters. So the next ship is a modified Providence class cruiser destroyer, named Rebel 1. Now, Rebel 1, personally, is my favorite, as I stated in stream. It was a heavily modified, with wings and a Recussant class light destroyer's engine on the back. Rebel 1 has been put in thumbnails of mine. It was destroyed in 0 ABY during the evacuation of Yavin. So that was Rebel 1. The next ship is the Recussant class light destroyer. The Recussant class light destroyer made its debut in the Confederacy of Independent Systems. It was a very glitched. The Recussant class in the Confederacy was used with the automatic brain and a very light crew. But when the rebellion got a hold of them, they only got a hold of a few because a lot of them were destroyed after the fall of the Republic. The next class is the Strike class medium cruiser. This was an Imperial design, oftentimes stolen by the Rebel Alliance, but they had a good number of them. And the final one in the cruiser area is the Venator class Star Destroyer. One of the first Star Destroyers one of the only class of Star Destroyers that the Rebellion was able to get their hands on was a Venator. They mainly act as command ships, light command ships, before the MC line got in, before the Mon Calamari got involved. Now we go to cruisers, and now we go to carriers and destroyers. The first ship up in this area is the Acclamator class assault ship. The Acclimator class was introduced in the Clone Wars era as a Galactic Republic ship. After the Republic turned into the Empire began to use more imperialistic type ships. So obviously the Acclimator didn't fall into that. So they oftentimes got in the hands of pirates and the rebels. They mainly use these as troop transport. So they weren't really predominant in battles, but they were there. The next ship is the Quasar Fire class bulk cruiser. Now the name differs from canon and legends. We'll get to the legends version later on in the stream. In legends, the Quasar Fire class bulk cruiser was a heavy carrier. In legends, it was unarmed, and it always had to have an escort. It could carry a lot of starfighters, so it made a prime target for the rebellion to steal. The rebellion, the majority of the rebel fleet was actually made of fighters, and we will get to that later in the video, in the stream. Next up was the Spiritual class assault ship. Not much is known about this ship. All we know is it was used very, very scarcely due to their limited numbers. And the final one in the carrier and destroyer area is the Tonfalk class escort carrier. The Tonfalk was a imperial ship, oftentimes stolen due to their big hangar bays. They could be used to store hundreds of starfighters, and as I've mentioned before, the rebellion was very starfighter heavy. The next classification in the fleet would be the frigate. Now, the frigate is one of those areas where it is oftentimes misled, and I will get to that later with another ship in here. So the first ship is the Assault Frigate Mark I. The Assault Frigate Mark I was introduced late into the Clone Wars era. However, it was not used by the Republic due to its lateness. Because of this, when the Republic converted to the Empire, the Empire didn't want it. So a lot of them fell into early rebellions. And actually, Jan Dodonna actually took one of these after the Battle of... so Jan Dodonna took one of these as his personal command ship. And it was then succeeded by the Assault Frigate Mark II. The Assault Frigate Mark II was made by the successor to the Assault Frigate Mark I. It performed a lot better than its predecessor, but was not as commonly used. Most people would prefer the Mark I over the Mark II. The next one is the CC 9600. It was they were often used in tandem with the CC 7700. They were both frigates used in they were frigates mainly used for to work in tandem with the DP-20 frigate. All three of those ships were used to escort Nebulon B escort frigates. The four ships worked in tandem. The Nebulon B would provide the main lay of turbo laser fire, which wasn't a lot, but combined with the DP-20, and both the 9600 and the 700 and the 7700, it would be an arsenal of laser cannons and turbo lasers used to take down even the biggest of Star Destroyers. The next one would be the Interceptor class frigate. Now this frigate was used by the rebels, but it was more predominantly used with the Black Sun. But the reason why it's on the list is because it did fall into the hands of some rebel fleets, but they weren't seen very often. The next one is the Lancer class frigate. Similar to the Carrack class and other ships, they were Imperial designs, oftentimes stolen by the Rebel Alliance. The next frigate is the Mesa class light escort frigate. It looks more like a starfighter, but it is a frigate. This was a light frigate, mainly used for escorting convoys. Their main feature was the ability to run the very fast hyperdrive systems. Judging from the picture, they are not very heavily. They're not heavily armed at all. Mainly with one turbo laser and a couple light laser cannons. So this thing was meant to escort, but it was also meant to run if necessary. The next one is the MC-30C frigate. Now this one has an interesting name called the Star Destroyer Destroyer. Now this frigate was heavily powerful. It had turbo lasers and laser cannons scattered along its entire area. It had a thin layer of hull, but its shooting was considered second to none, only to the MC-80A Home 1 variant. So this ship could pack a wallet, let me tell you that. The next ship is the Munificent class Star Frigate. The Munificent class Star Frigate was a Clone Wars era ship, mainly used by the Confederacy of Independent Systems. Yes, I've said that name a lot, and that name will be mentioned a lot more in this stream. As you may notice, the rebels used the Confederacy ships a lot. The final one in the frigate, the final two are the Nebulon B-2 frigates and the Zebulon B frigates. Now, there's no picture of the Zebulon, but the Nebulon B-2 was basically a Nebulon B with an extra prong attached on the head, and that is the final frigate of the Legends version of the Rebel fleet. The next category is the Corvette and gunships. A Corvette and gunship is classified as a light ship. In Star Wars, it is used as a lot as anti-starfighter. The first ship is the Alderaanian gunship, used by the planet Alderaan in its defense forces. In the early rebellions led by Bail Organa, Alderaanian gunships made up the bulk of the Rebel fleet during most of the Rebels' era. Its complement to turbo lasers and light laser cannons made it great for anti-starfighter, and if they work in a group, could go toe-to-toe with an Imperial-class Star Destroyer for a bit. The next one is the CR-92A Assassin-class Corvette. This was one of the only ships made purely for the Rebel Alliance. It was an Alderaanian class. It was an Alderaanian vessel. It was made by the Corellian Engineering Corporation and was mainly found in the Alderaanian Defense Fleet. This was made solely for the Rebel Alliance. This is one of the only ships that could be found for the pure Rebel Alliance. The next one is the T-16 Skyhopper. They were predominantly used as a drop gunship. They could carry a few troops. They were mainly used for reconnaissance as well. Next one is the Brahatuk gunship. The Brahatuk gunship has an official class, but it has another class, but it's more predominantly known as the Brahatuk. The Brahatuk was a predominantly only anti-starfighter. It had 1 turbo lasers. Yes, it was a very weird name. The people, when the Empire took over, they created thousands of these Brahatuks to be used. These ships were by no way means meant to fight a Star Destroyer. They had 1 turbo laser, and the rest was laser cannons. They were solely meant for the use of anti-starfighter roles. The next one is the Chuduk Blockade Runner. Now, blockade runner is a term that will be used for many ships in the Corvette areas. It was mainly used like an anti-starfighter role. They weren't predominantly used. There were a few of them that made their way in, but these were mainly used by the Black Sun. So we will move on. The next one will be the Consular class cruiser, or the Consular class Corvette. This Consular was pre-Clone Wars, but the one we're talking to is the variant used by the Republic. Now, the Republic had these, and when the Republic conformed into the Empire, they fell out of service, so they immediately went into the use of the Rebel Alliance. They were mainly used, they had some turbo lasers, but mainly laser cannons. Next one is the CR-70 Corvette. This was the predecessor to a more popular Rebel ship that we will get to next. There's not much known about the CR-70, only that Bail Organa owned one. Next one is possibly one of the earliest versions, one of the earliest rebel ships used by the Alliance to restore the Republic, would be the CR-90 Corvette, or the Corellian Blockade Runner. The CR-90 Corvette was basically the flagship. It was the poster child of the rebellion. Some of the most famous ships, including the Tantive V4, was a CR-90 Corvette. These ships were durable, let me tell you that, with a combination of 2 turbo lasers and 4 light laser cannons. If these things were to work in a group, these things could take down even the biggest of Star Destroyers. I wouldn't go Super Star Destroyer, because trust me, there are very few ships on this list that could go toe-to-toe with a Super Star Destroyer. But if working in a group, they can go up against just about most regular-sized Imperial ships. The next ship is the IPV-1 System Patrol Craft. This was another one used mainly by the Imperials, but the only reason the Rebellion used them was for undercover operations. They were mainly stolen by the Rebellion. The next one is the Light Corvette Air Cruiser. Not much is known about this one, only that it is used by, it also has a lot of repulsor lifts, so it can be used as an atmospheric ship as well. The next one is the Kesselinian Blockade Runner. No, this ship is literally just named. There is no information on it, and it has no picture. It appeared in one Rebel fleet in Legends, but never had a picture, and it was only briefly mentioned. That is all we know about the Kesselinian Blockade Runner. Next one is the Marauder class Corvette. Now, the Marauder class, along with the CR-90, was along with the CR-90 and 70. Were some of the earliest ships used by the Rebel Alliance in Legends. They were with only 1 turbo laser and many laser cannons. This thing could pack a punch even in the biggest of TIE fighter streams. And the finest Corvette and the final Corvette and gunship is the X-4 gunship. Not much is known about this ship, only that it was used by special ops units to be dropped in areas. Next one is possibly the Rebellion's most strongest area. I present to you with the starfighters of the Rebel Alliance. The first one is the Alpha 3 Nimbus class V-Wing starfighter. The V-Wing starfighter was introduced late in the Clone Wars and early into the Imperial era. The V-Wing was actually the predecessor to the TIE fighter. After the TIE fighter succeeded the V-Wing, the V-Wing became heavily used as an early Rebellion starfighter. Another one is the Aggressive Reconnaissance 170 starfighter. This was another one entered late into the Clone Wars. It was considered one of the main predecessors to the X-Wing, which we will discuss later. The next one is the Bullpup 22 starfighter. Many people would know this ship as General Grievous's personal starship. This Bullpup 22 starfighter was mainly used as a bomber, mainly. It was an early bomber. The next one is the A-SF-01 B-Wing Heavy Assault Starfighter. This one, just like many others in this ship, just like a couple others, is solely made for the Rebellion. In Legends, this ship was solely made for one purpose, and that was to take down Star Destroyers. It was a hybrid starfighter bomber. This thing could take on if you had a wing of these things, a whole squadron of these could take on a Star Destroyer and come out alive. That's how good these things were. The next one is the BTF Y-Wing Starfighter. This ship in Legends and canon has 2 completely different histories. In Legends, it was made for the Alliance, and in some of the most notable squadrons were including a Gold Squadron and Gold Squadron from Battle of Yavin. Next one is the BTS A2 Long Range Strike Fighter / Bomber, or more commonly known as the H-Wing. The H-Wing was meant to be the replacement to the Y-Wing. However, due to a lot of technical difficulties with the H-Wing, they decided to keep the Y-Wing in. Next one is the Cutlass 9 patrol craft. While predominantly used by the Black Sun, when the Black Sun and Rebellion joined forces, these ships would become the backbone of Rebel and Black Sun fleets when they worked together. The next one is the E-Wing escort fighter. The E-Wing escort fighter was another ship made solely for the Rebel Alliance. It was supposed to be the successor to the X-Wing. However, due to technical difficulties and just overall not liking the ship, the E-Wing never got its opportunity to shine like the X-Wing did. The next one is the H-60 Tempest bomber. This ship was basically this one was considered the prototype of the B-Wing. We can see it's basically a B-Wing without the S-foils. That's really all you can say about it. It had one heavy laser cannon, and that's it. Not much else is known about the Tempest bomber, only that it was the predecessor to the B-Wing. Next one is the M-Class Starfighter. Now, the M-Class Starfighter was used on Hoth, and apparently Leia and Han Solo apparently used some of these during the Battle of Hoth before escaping on the Millennium Falcon. The next one is the Nubian-class N1 Starfighter. The Nubian-class N1 Starfighter wasn't really used by the Alliance or the Republic, more as it was used by the Naboo Rebellion. This rebellion was crushed very swiftly, but some of them, and I will say some of them, did make their way into the hands of the Rebel Alliance, but not many of them. I say only about 3 squadrons, small squadrons, got into the Alliance Navy. Other than that, not much more is known. Not much can be said about these things in the Rebellion era. Next one is the Ravak class assault fighter. The Ravak class assault fighter was another one of those ships that was mainly used by the Black Sun, but did find their way into the Rebellion's hands when squadron leaders would lead their squadrons into Rebel territory and join the Rebels. Next one is the R-22 Spearhead. Mainly used as the prototype and predecessor to the RZ-1's A-Wing. The Spearhead was made after the A-Wing was used. They were still used, but were mainly destroyed when their production facility was destroyed. Next one is the R-41 Star Chaser. This ship was used predominantly in the Battle of Camino. And it was another ship that would be used predominantly by both the Black Sun and Alliance to restore the Republic. Next one is the RZ-1 A-Wing Interceptor. This ship was made by Jan Dodonna. After the Battle of Yavin, Jan Dodonna decided that the shortcomings of the A-Wing and the X-Wing and Y-Wings, it was sad that 3 measly starfighters almost completely destroyed any chance of destroying it. Because of this, Jan Dodonna created the RZ-1 A-Wing Interceptor as an all-purpose interceptor to combat TIE fighters. So that they were meant to be escorted. They were meant to escort the X-Wings and Y-Wings. While the X-Wings and Y-Wings do their job, the A-Wings would gladly go in and fight for them. Next one is the Z-95 Headhunter. The Z-95, along with the ARC-170, are considered the 2 predecessors to the Incom Corporation T-70 X-Wing, to the T-65 X-Wing. This ship was introduced late in the Clone Wars and was considered one of the better fighters of the Clone Wars before the V-Wing turret, before the V-Wing turret was entered. Next thing is the R-60 T-Wing Interceptor. This one resembles a U-Wing by very little. It was a light starfighter, almost had and was very, very unreliable. And finally the TIE series. Now I say TIE series in general is because there were a lot of TIE fighters stolen by the Rebellion for different reasons. Some were to mimic, some was for reconnaissance, and some was for studying. And some was just because people preferred using the experimental TIE fighters to fight the Empire. Either way, they fell into their hands. That's all that really needs to be known about them. All right, we have finally finished with Legend Starfighters. Next is logistics vessels. The first one is the Action 5 transport. These ones look very similar to the Interceptor class frigate. They were meant to work as in tandem. The frigate, the Interceptor class frigate was supposed to protect the Action 5 transport while the transport landed its troops. Next one is the BFF-1 bulk freighter. This freighter was not specifically used by the rebels, mainly as it was a civilian vessel that would oftentimes be donated to the rebels. Next one is the cargo orbiter. This ship was another civilian vessel that just like the bulk freighter, mainly wasn't specifically needed for the rebellion, but oftentimes ended up in the rebellion. Next one is the Class 5 bulk freighter, meant to be the predecessor, meant to be work in tandem with the Neuron class bulk freighter. It was supposed to work similar to the Action 5 and the Interceptor class frigate. The bulk cruiser was meant to protect the Class 5 bulk freighter while it did its job. Next one is the Delta class DX-9 Stormtrooper transport. Just like other Imperial vessels that have entered onto this list, this ship was mainly stolen. And it is also like the Gamma class ATR-6 assault transport. Both of these ships were mainly found on Star Destroyers, but were stolen for different reasons. Next one is predominantly the workhorse of the transport armada used by the rebellion. The one, the only, the GR-75 medium transport. Now many other channels like Eckhard Slatter and other channels, other Star Wars channels, have done many videos on the GR-75 medium transport, and I plan to as well later. The GR-75 was an unarmored transport that, for some strange and mysterious reason, always ends up getting into combat scenarios. Like I said, it is unarmed. It is mainly used to load up bases and get them out of there. But the way it was used in the Battle of Hoth in Episode 5 is how it was meant to be used. But that's a video for another day. All right, the next one is the HT 2200 medium freighter. This ship was another civilian vessel that just fell into the hand of the rebellion whenever they needed a ship. Next up is a ship that will premiere in both Legends and Canon, and I've done a lot on this channel. Trust me, it should be like my flagship thing for now. The Lambda class T-4A shuttle. Just like this was an Imperial vessel, just like the Delta class DX-9 or the Gamma class or the Lancer or Carrack, these things were stolen by the rebellion. Not much else to say. Next one was the Merlin transport. Not much is known about this one. The next ship is the YT-1300 light freighter. Many people would know this ship as the Millennium Falcon. Now, just because the Millennium Falcon is the most popular YT-1300 light freighter that has made it into Rebellion, that does not mean it is the only one. That was the only named YT-1300. I will say, however, that there have been other YT-1300 light freighters that have made it into the Rebellion. The next one is the YT-2000 light freighter. Just like the YT-1300, there have been named ones, but there have been countless other ones made into the Rebellion. The next ship, the next category of ship, is the dropships and landing crafts. The first one is the BR-23 Courier. This ship was an Imperial design, stolen like the other ones. Next one is the carbon-scored troop transport. Not much is known about this one. All I can say is that it used some sort of carbon-based life form to work. I don't have much more information about that. Next one is the Corellian Heavy Lifter. Another Corellian vessel makes it onto this list. You know, if the Empire really wanted to step up their game, they really should have gone to Corellia. The Corellian Heavy Lifter wasn't really a combat-bearing vessel. Although they were in many Alliance fleets, they were mainly used to transport cargo in between ship to ship. Saying this, when there was a combat situation, it could adequately defend itself against Starfighter. It had 2 light laser cannons, that is it. It was mainly meant to stay back in the back of the transport of the military fleet and mainly used to refuel mainly. Next one is the Color King class transport. The Color King like class transport was another Imperial. All right, guys, it's time to cut the string here. So, yeah, as we can see, the Alliance of the Old Republic like to use a large amount of different vessels. Sorry that we could not get into the canon variations, but some shout outs I'd like to give. First one are to the channels War Reloaded, Eckhard Slatter, and Space Doc. Those 3 channels, along with many others, have helped me format my channel. No, they haven't done anything personally, but they were the reasons that they're the reasons why I formatted my channel. The next one would be the YouTuber Vapor HD, along with Piggity Poppin' and Revolt. Those 3 channels have been a lot in this channel. They have done a lot by keeping the chat alive and other things. Next one I'd like to give out is a shout out to Krabby Llama. I premiered in a couple of his videos, and he has appeared in some of my another person I'm shouting out, General Pika 22. He's a newer one. He's a newer YouTuber that I've appeared in some of his channels, and I appeared in his video. The final person I'd like to give a shout out to is Nilla Gamer. He was one of the main reasons why I started my YouTube channel in the first place. So, he's helped me a lot. He's given me information on some of the ships I needed. And without further ado, I'd like to say goodbye, everyone. Thank you for the 100 subscribers that you've given me. And remember, let's keep going strong. The Star Brotherhood can only get bigger with you guys helping me. Ready? And I'll see you all in the next stream. Have a good day, guys.